Now, sometimes now former President John Dramani Mahama Ochabo or Nana Dankwa no, in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia about Ghana his Samoa. Sometimes it's very funny, especially because in some other can air now on Yanaka. What family for my family Kuska. But Mazana share video no business and video. Nay, ain't no corner. Nay, we are chawag your comment section.
Today, the US dollar is exchanging for 13 cedis, 90 pesos. I am the first to admit that it is not the direction that we should be going. But today, I will show you how the global shocks such as COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war have impacted the cedi depreciation and how it would have been much worse under Mahama's administration. Let's begin with where the exchange rate was when Mahama took office on July 24th, 2012. The dollar was exchanging for 1 cedi, 89 pesos. When Mahama left office in January 2017, the dollar was exchanging for 4 cedis, 17 pesos. That represents an annual depreciation rate of 19.23% over 54 months. That is Mahama's record on managing the cedi. Now let's look at how Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have managed the cedi since then. Even with the effects of the COVID pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war, today's US dollar to cedi exchange rate of 13.90 pesos from 4 cedis 17 pesos represents an annual depreciation rate of just 18.07% over 87 months. So, Mahama's record on the cedi is 19.23% annual depreciation rate with no global shocks compared with Nanado and Dr. Bawumia's record of 18.07% annually. But let me show you where Nanado and Dr. Bawumia have completely outperformed Mahama on the cedi's management. Between January 2017 and March 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, the US dollar exchanged from 4 cedis 17 pesos to 5 cedis 65 pesos. So in 38 months, the cedi depreciated by just 10.07% annually. So to compare the performances of the two administrations during normal times under Mahama, the cedi depreciated annually by 19.23% in 54 months as compared to 10.07% annually in 38 months under Nanado and Dr. Bawumia. So if Mahama had been allowed to stay in office beyond January 2017, it is fair to say that the cedi would have continued to depreciate annually by his record of 19.23% annually. This means the US dollar would have exchanged for 7 cedis 29 pesos in March 2020, just before the COVID pandemic arrived. Instead, Nanado and Dr. Bawumia kept it at 5 cedis 65 pesos. These are factual statistical projections that cannot be disputed.
Many people want to support us. Na wakadama mesede I na won check down obohu tanks bi wo. Obobo mehu all certain amount bi apeditua. Ebohu euros, ebohu pounds. Mebe fe bia no so slow or as high bia. Ni wia bomazena cost buy and send ho no. Buy and send is me atwane kakra. Atwane kakra ma so process ni nyina na so bia. Ebohu na obo bring up drop down menu bia ebotum ni choose the payment method the pay choose. Ni wia ni nyina na wa iska. Thank you for supporting us. Ya mention bebre.
Now let's look at how the COVID pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war have affected the cedi's depreciation. Since we cannot compare Mahama and Nanado on this analysis, the best comparison we can make is with two of our West African peers. We chose Nigeria and Sierra Leone based on the size of their economies and the fact that they are not under CFA monetary system that is tied to France. First, Ghana. The US dollar, which has changed for 5 cedis 65 pesos just before the COVID pandemic, is now exchanging for 13 cedis 90 pesos. That is an annual depreciation rate of 24.71% over 4 years. Now let's look at Nigeria. The US dollar was exchanging for 369 naira just before the COVID pandemic, and now it is exchanging for 1,418 naira for an annual depreciation rate of 38.75% over the same 4-year period. Now let's take Sierra Leone. The US dollar was exchanging for 7,067 leones just before the COVID pandemic, and now it is exchanging for 20,969 leones for an annual depreciation rate of 30.41% over the same 4-year period. So let's compare the effects of the COVID pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war on the currencies of the three countries. Ghana is 24.71%. Nigeria is 38.75%. And Sierra Leone is 30.41%, for an average among the three countries of 31.29%. This is where Mahama comes in. First, remember that by simple statistical projections, the US dollar would be exchanging at 7 cedis 29 pesos if Mahama was president in March 2020 when the COVID pandemic arrived. So let's take 7 cedis 29 pesos and apply the average annual depreciation rate of 31.29%, which is the average of three countries over the 4 years since the pandemic began. So if we take 7 cedis 29 pesos depreciating at an annual rate of 31.29%, that would bring the US dollar exchange rate today to 22 cedis 23 pesos if Mahama was still in power. And this is even being fair to Mahama, because there is no reason to believe that he would have managed the cedi's depreciation at the three-country average of 31.29%. So looking forward, even if we assume that the US dollar climbs to 15 cedis in January and Ghanaians make the mistake of bringing in Mahama, by the time he leaves office in January of 2029, the cedi would have depreciated from 15 cedis to well over 40 cedis based on its record of managing the cedi. And that's the simple truth, fact. This also means that despite the dollar being at 13 cedis and 90 pesos today, the fundamentals of the economy is still far stronger than they were under Mahama, believe it or not. So as some Ghanaians now want to bring Mahama back into the presidency, all I can say is be careful what you wish for. You may get it. And word to the wise, they say, is
ana Israel ni beje enumu ana Ghana ani beje enumu ana sumdua no nkoso ne mpuntu nyina de beko enti Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yo bi a wasua de no wasua de yie afri Nana Dankwa Akufo Addo ho awa bra on the vice president a waba na the boss on complain o on fa no nkosi ya di say ehwehwe ne nsem na emom wode no o kasa ye a obo no ho ban se de wubusa Hoya Morisampa say Nana Dankwa Akufo Addo say major decisions are oteki ye nyina no na Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia ewo ho edema no no kwasem ni woka Yakubu nwoma no James chapter 4 verse 11 to 12 to 13 or say it has given to you to know the mystery in the kingdom of God, but them it has given to them in Proverbs so that they won't understand and do it. So say they have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. You see, so sometimes I always saying that God only speaks to the leader. And anyanwanwa asamna enwanwa say ye wo nimdifo a wo wo ayaresahwemu na bibi a fire sahu na say yare ho aba na ye taking major decisions na na do dan kwakufu ado beka say sabre die ma obi a ne mpie bio ma obi a no sa woni obi akora tifia ma nchia no bio na waba every week bia no waba be chia ye se me ba ofie na me no waba bekasa. You know, you see the spirit of Akufo. And Akufo is going to be remembered. You know, let me tell you, say Kwame Nkrumah yakai no pa, but we are going to remember Akufo more than any president ever. Our Ghana has it because we share industrialization. We share one district, one factory. We be a Nkrumah.
Yeah.
What I say, industrialization. We share one district, one factory. We be a Nkrumah.
Yeah.
What I say, we share hospitals. Ahodo agenda 111. Our dear Baya, we be a Nkrumah. We share railway. Ade adea. Akufo-Addo we be a Nkrumah. We a Nkrumah. Wohwe secondary schools and universities ahodo a Akufo-Addo aya wa yes Nkrumah. Wohwe regions ahodo a Akufo-Addo ba ye no create ya wa create say Nkrumah. So nobody, no president ever can ever card about a big deal. Our Ghana has say I will be a addressing system now GPS anwa me kokohwe me chema baako ne fie me kokohwe. And no cry now, there is a GPS. Utimi hu. What it means is say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia but no be president pa. Sa interest rate and what's no pa no. Because say you need baby a what here. Na Ghana card baby a wo be also connected to BB. I was saying interest rate to be back from to say the average interest rate in Ebano. So what it means is that he is going to empower the private sector. And so we'll share a TUC for now or person will share labor for and this money union. And so he knows he has given to him to know the people he should campaign straight to them. That is why he stands tall and spiritedly he is going to exhibit the good spirit to this campaign for everybody to know, sir, he's just coming to serve as he has shown and serve his master, now say his boss, Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there, he's a gateway to Northern region. So I know me my liman. What I say, my liman, because I brought accident, you know. Now,